French omelet. The French omelet is one of the earliest standardized omelet styles documented in European culinary history. The word omelet itself comes from French, with references appearing in French cookbooks as early as the 16th century. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the dish became associated with professional French cooking techniques. Traditional French omelets are made with eggs, butter, and salt. The eggs are beaten thoroughly before cooking. Unlike many other omelets, the French version is cooked quickly over medium heat while being constantly stirred or shaken in the pan. The interior is intended to remain soft and slightly moist rather than fully browned. The outer surface is usually pale yellow with little to no browning. Fillings such as herbs, mushrooms, or cheese may be added, but classical versions often contain minimal ingredients. Culinary schools frequently use the French omelet as a technical benchmark because texture and folding technique are considered important indicators of cooking control. Tamagoyaki. Tamagoyaki originated in Japan during the Edo period, when eggs became more widely available in urban areas. Historical records from Japanese cuisine describe layered egg preparations becoming common in both home cooking and sushi restaurants. The dish is made by combining eggs with ingredients such as soy sauce, sugar, mirin, and dashi stock. The mixture is cooked in thin layers using a rectangular pan called a makiaki nabe. Each layer is rolled over the previous one, creating a folded rectangular omelet with visible internal layers. The balance between sweet and savory flavors varies by region and by the cook. In sushi restaurants, tamagoyaki is often served as a topping for nigiri sushi. Some chefs spend years refining consistency, texture, and rolling technique. Compared to Western omelets, tamagoyaki uses lower heat and more deliberate layering methods. Spanish tortilla. The Spanish tortilla, also called tortilla española, became widespread in Spain during the 18th century. One commonly referenced story connects it to the Navarro region, although the exact inventor remains uncertain. The dish mainly consists of eggs, potatoes, olive oil, and salt. Some regional versions include onions, while others avoid them entirely. Potatoes are sliced and slowly cooked in oil before being mixed with beaten eggs. Unlike thin omelets, the Spanish tortilla is thick and circular. It is cooked on both sides, often by flipping it with the help of a plate. The final texture can range from fully set to slightly soft in the center, depending on regional preference. The tortilla became popular partly because potatoes were inexpensive and widely available. Over time, it developed into a common tapas item across Spain and is now considered one of the country's most recognizable egg dishes. Kai jiao. Kai jiao is a Thai-style omelet commonly sold in homes, restaurants, and street food stalls throughout Thailand. Unlike French or Japanese omelets, this version emphasizes rapid frying at high temperatures. The eggs are mixed with fish sauce and sometimes lime juice or chopped herbs. The mixture is then poured into very hot oil, causing the omelet to puff rapidly and develop a crisp exterior. Minced pork, crab meat, or shrimp are often added. The dish is typically served over rice rather than as a standalone breakfast item. Street vendors frequently prepare it in small woks because the rounded shape helps create the characteristic folded structure. The texture difference is one of its defining characteristics: crispy edges on the outside with softer egg inside. The cooking method relies heavily on oil temperature rather than folding technique. Masala omelet. The masala omelet developed in India during the colonial period when European egg dishes mixed with local spice traditions. It later became common in roadside tea shops, railway stalls, and home kitchens across the country. The basic ingredients include eggs, onions, green chilies, tomatoes, coriander leaves, salt, and spice powders such as turmeric or chili powder. Some versions also use ginger or curry leaves. Unlike classical European omelets, the Indian masala omelet focuses heavily on aromatics and spices. The ingredients are usually mixed directly into the eggs before cooking. Oil or butter may be used depending on the region. In many Indian cities, the omelet is commonly served with bread rolls, parota, or toasted sandwich bread. Regional variations differ significantly, especially between northern and southern India, where spice profiles and accompaniments change.
Frittata.
The Italian frittata evolved from rural cooking traditions where eggs were used to combine leftover vegetables, meats, and cheeses into a single dish. The term frittata comes from the Italian word friggere, meaning to fry. A frittata typically contains eggs mixed with ingredients such as spinach, onions, zucchini, mushrooms, cheese, or cured meats. Unlike folded omelets, the fillings are mixed throughout the egg mixture rather than enclosed inside. The dish begins on a stovetop and is often finished in an oven. This allows the eggs to cook evenly and creates a firmer structure. Because of its thickness, the frittata is usually sliced rather than folded. Historically, frittatas became associated with practical cooking because they allowed households to reuse leftover ingredients efficiently. Modern versions range from simple vegetable combinations to elaborate restaurant preparations. Soufflé omelet. The soufflé omelet developed from French soufflé techniques introduced into egg cookery during the 18th and 19th centuries. Unlike standard omelets, this version relies heavily on whipped egg whites. The eggs are separated before cooking. Egg whites are beaten until airy and folded back with the yolks. The mixture is then cooked carefully to preserve trapped air bubbles, producing a thick and inflated texture. Some versions are savory, while others include sugar and are served as desserts. Because the structure depends on air retention, timing is important. The omelet begins to collapse as it cools. Compared to ordinary omelets, the soufflé omelet has a much lighter internal texture and greater volume. Its preparation overlaps more with baking techniques than with traditional pan-fried egg dishes. Denver omelet. The Denver omelet is associated with the American West during the late 19th century. One theory connects it to Chinese railroad cooks who adapted egg dishes for workers traveling through western states. The standard filling includes ham, onions, and green bell peppers. Cheese is often added in modern versions. The ingredients are cooked before being folded into the eggs. Earlier forms of the dish were sometimes called Western omelets. Food historians suggest the heavy use of onions and peppers may have helped improve the flavor of preserved meats used during long-distance travel. The Denver omelet became a common diner breakfast item across the United States during the 20th century. Unlike minimalist European styles, American diner omelets generally emphasize larger portions and heavier fillings. Egg foo young. Egg foo young traces its roots to Chinese egg dishes from Guangdong province, but the modern version developed mainly within Chinese-American restaurants during the 19th and early 20th centuries. The dish combines beaten eggs with vegetables such as bean sprouts and onions, along with meats or seafood. The mixture is fried into thick patties rather than folded like a traditional omelet. One defining feature is the brown gravy, often poured over the top in North American restaurant versions. Regional Chinese preparations differ significantly and may not include gravy at all. The dish became popular in the United States because it could be prepared quickly while adapting easily to locally available ingredients. It remains an example of how immigrant cooking traditions changed when introduced into different food systems. Oyster omelet. The oyster omelet is strongly associated with Taiwanese night markets, although similar versions exist in parts of Fujian province in China. Historical records connect the dish to coastal communities where oysters were widely harvested. The omelet combines eggs with small oysters and a starch mixture made from sweet potato starch or tapioca starch. This creates a texture that differs from most omelets, producing a partially chewy consistency. Leafy greens such as garland chrysanthemum are commonly added, and the dish is usually topped with a sweet and savory sauce. The starch component allows the omelet to maintain structure while retaining moisture. Oyster omelets became particularly associated with Taiwanese street food culture during the 20th century. Night market vendors often cook them on large flat griddles to prepare multiple servings quickly.